Now with this guy, if you go back, it's not like he had puberty-induced gyno from what I can tell. Like he's had this for not that long, because actually he made such a ridiculous transformation that this is very new. Like this physique is a representation of what seems to be a year of like hard work and saucing. What's up guys, Derek from OurPlateSmartAge.com. Today we are going to be talking about gyno, the favorite subject of the channel as of late, or at least one of the most prominent topics that is coming out of the woodwork lately. Lots of people with gyno, lots of gyno surgeries, lots of questions about the cause of gyno, the stimulatory inputs that cause gyno to develop and how it's not just limited to estrogen production. And in this case, we have a very unique scenario in which we have an individual who has probably, like, for bodybuilding, he's not nearly big enough, but for like the fitness industry, this guy has like the perfect physique. The guy has the nuttiest ab inserts ever, just looks absolutely awesome, fucking sick jawline, fucking sick hair, diced, perfectly chiseled six pack, pretty like decently jacked. Like he's not huge, but he is big enough for the fitness industry. This guy is like peak fitness model material, and it's kind of, I don't even know how people came across this, but I got tagged multiple times. It wasn't just like one random person that tagged me in this guy's stuff. It was multiple people sending it to me. So I don't know if this guy's like starting to pick up traction with his page. Hopefully it's not just for this, and it's also for his good physique too. So obviously you can see what the problem is, like off the bat. This guy won a, I don't know how prestigious the show is that he just won, but the guy just cleaned up in a bodybuilding show and is, celebrating his win, and he made a pretty fucking insane transformation. Like this guy not that long ago was working out in the gym looking like this dude. Like this was 40 weeks ago. Like you wouldn't even recognize the dude. And now, like here, does this look like a guy who even has been training for more than, I don't know, a year, or let alone even fucking remotely close to what you see here? No, not at all, dude. So anyways, this guy is, his name is okay, fuck, I'm gonna butcher the shit out of this, but he goes by Harry. Never mind. I don't even know why I say he goes by, but this is his fucking username. This is his name. And he's from India. So anyways, his physique is absolutely insane, like I said, and there's this one glaring issue with it, which is the blatant gynecomastia development. Now, some people would think, like, the reason this is such a good topic too is because it's become very clear to me that people still don't understand some of the basics of overlapping pharmacology when it comes to like test bases and estrogenic compounds, when it comes to designing an intelligent protocol, like the video I just did on the D-ball only cycle gangster guy. He wasn't intentionally trying to be a D-ball only cycle gangster. If you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, go watch that one. But basically he ended up with ridiculous gyno, ED, nosebleeds off the chain, basically the full gamut of side effects you would expect from a ridiculously abusive protocol, including D-ball. Now, the reason why D-ball is so problematic, like the first thing to touch on is why people are asking, like, why would you not have test with D-ball? Because that's something I mentioned in the video, and it's actually a pretty common cycle is guys using, like 500 tests and kick-starting it with, 30, 40 milligrams of D-ball for the first 4 to 6 weeks to get the gains going, because we all know that, blood serum concentrations of test E aren't nearly high enough to cause results until week 5. Total bullshit, by the way. But anyways, people are doing that and they're kick-starting their cycles with things like D-ball. And, even with DECA in their system too, they'll be on like test DECA and kicking it off with D-ball and causing fucking ridiculous stimulatory input in the fucking titty, dude. Like they are getting to a point where, like, that cycle in particular is literal gyno fire, dude. Like it is absolutely insane what you can cause, even if you're not that prone to it, with that kind of a combination. The reason being, first of all, besides the progestogenic activity of DECA, let's just talk about test and D-ball for a second. So if you've seen the anabolic steroid family tree, you'll know that it is subdivided into 3 different categories. We have testosterone and its derivatives, DHT and its derivatives, 19-nortestosterone / nandrolone and its derivatives. And in the testosterone column, we have testosterone as the root androgen. And obviously, all of the other derivatives are actually based off the root androgen testosterone. They just subdivide into these 3 subcategories of the testosterone derivatives, aka compounds that are not 5-alpha reduced before then being chemically modified, or things that are not 19-nortestosterone bases that are then chemically modified. Rather, they are literally based on the root molecule of testosterone, tweaked and modified to make more tissue selective anabolic agents. And that is where the creation of Dianabol came to place. It was an attempt to make a more efficacious product that was orally bioavailable, blah, blah, blah. And it's very effective. However, its effects pharmacology-wise differ, fairly significantly. We see its effects on water retention being a bit different. We see its effects on how androgenic it is being a bit different. And the main kind of, when you get to brass tacks, it doesn't 5-alpha reduce very significantly into its 5-alpha reduced metabolite methyl 1-testosterone, which is otherwise like with testosterone, the 5-alpha reduced metabolite DHT is a very, very potent, not antagonist, it's like an inhibitor of estrogen-induced RNA transcription at the receptor site. So that 5-alpha reduction to DHT is very helpful in offsetting estrogenic input, like stimulatory input from the estrogenic burden of your testosterone and, other shit. So if you have a compound that is like retaining most of its base parent molecule that is more tissue selective and less androgenic, you can expect less ability to kind of like combat estrogen-induced gyno. At least, speculation-wise, we can assume that. Now, with its activity at aromatase, it does not aromatize into bioidentical estradiol, just like at 5-alpha reductase, it doesn't spit out dihydrotestosterone, rather it's metabolized into methyl 1-testosterone. Dianabol has its own unique metabolites when it goes through aromatase as well. So this is where it ends up producing something called 17-alpha methyl estradiol. So 17-alpha methyl estradiol is kind of unique in that, like, first of all, it's an estradiol analog. It's not just because it has the word estradiol in it, doesn't mean it's going to have the same estrogenic activity, the same affinity for, estrogen receptors, estrogen receptor beta, estrogen receptor alpha, how potent it is at them, dissociation rate, etc. It's all going to differ between these analogs significantly. Like, these are totally unique molecules with their own inherent activity at these receptors. And with 17-alpha methyl estradiol, the estrogen produced is metabolism resistant. So it makes Dianabol retain some pretty significant estrogenic activity, which we see played out in practical application very often with very easy to induce gynecomastia and water retention. So, more often than not, the water retention is like very fucking blatant on Dbol, to the point where most people get a like totally skewed perception of how well it's working because they just blow up with, like 20 pounds in fucking 6 weeks. They don't really realize that, like, 3/4 of that is just temporary shit weight, you know what I mean? Well, not necessarily shit weight, it's stuff that can give you enhanced leverage in the gym and stuff like that, but it's weight that is not actual contractile tissue. It's not like a lean, compound skewed towards pure protein expression. Rather, it has a bunch of other satellite interactions, most notably being the fluid retention estrogenic aspect of it. And when you have that, a molecule which is designed that can literally act as a hormone replacement therapy base in itself. I'm not saying you should, it's just, historically it has been used as an HRT alternative. Not, you shouldn't do that, but it has been done, and the estrogenic burden is significant enough to provide that estrogenic backbone, perhaps not in an ideal way, blah, blah, blah. Point is if you have testosterone at, like 500 mgs, which might be, more than you can even tolerate without an AI to begin with, and then you add a fucking Kickstarter of, 30, 40, 50 milligrams of Dbol, think about how much fucking estrogenic burden you have in your system at that point, and how problematic that can be. Like, instead of picking a compound that either has, some anti-estrogenic activity built into it that can then balance out your cycle a bit, or is skewed towards, pure protein expression or something that is going to be less problematic in overburdening one aspect of your cycle that is already like more than topped off, you're going to run into issues. And this is where guys end up with a fucking crank through the roof blood pressure, nosebleed city, gynecomastia development, severe ED, shit like that. So anyways, going back to like that, the circling back to the Dbol thing from the other video from the other day, that is why it is not necessarily an ideal scenario to be stacking, like 2 testosterone bases together, at least at their full, like efficacious dosages. So if you were going to do like obviously if you were to combine the two, you would really have to reel back on what kind of like maxed out dose you would be titrating up to. Like, you would not be able to tolerate the same amount of test as you would have otherwise, without the Dbol in the equation. Again, obviously that's individual dependent. Some people can get away with fucking estradiol through the roof, triple digit numbers with absolutely no issues whatsoever. A lot of people though will run into issues with at least one aspect of estrogenic burden being, you know, ED, gynecomastia development, you know, the full array of things that could go wrong do often go wrong. We end up with, you know, freak show, you know, stories like the Reddit post the other day. Now with this guy, if you go back, it's not like he had puberty-induced gyno from what I can tell. Like he's had this for not that long, because actually he made such a ridiculous transformation that this is very new. Like this physique is a representation of what seems to be a year of like hard fucking work and saucing, obviously. Like this guy's not natural. Looks absolutely insane though, dude. Like most people would be very, very happy with this physique, short of the gyno. So going back, I wanted to see how far back, you know, we could see this development. We can see him in March 23rd. So this guy's like fairly new to the bodybuilding stage, and all the competitions you can see the gyno. But then here, before he went on this big, I don't know how many competitions he did. He went on like a little tear here and started winning shows. This is him back in February 11th. Like this is not that long ago, dude. And you can see how much worse his shape is at this point. Like the guy cut aggressively and really dialed in his physique very, very quickly and made substantial changes. This was only February 8th. Going back to, let's see, January 10th, this is what he looked like. And it's kind of crazy, like a very, very substantial transformation to the point where the video I showed you from like 45 weeks ago or whatever, you probably wouldn't have even thought that it was possible for that guy to look like this in a couple of years, let alone in a fucking, you know, like 40 weeks. So going back a little, as far as I could, you know, I could see the gyno even as far back as August 23rd, but it's not, you know, it doesn't look that bad here. But again, he's covered in fat and water here, so it's not going to be as apparent as when he's stage ready shredded. So I wanted to keep going back and see if it was indeed from puberty or a bad cycle. And indeed, it does seem like it was poor pharmacology. When you look here, I do not see these same lumps protruding as badly. So this was July 24th. Obviously, this was like right when they were starting to really, you know, develop, I would say. Because when you go back as far as December 30th, 2019, not that long ago, dude, the guy looks untrained with perfect nips, you know, no lumps whatsoever. Here he is just chilling with the fucking Red Bull. Perfect nips, even though he has a super high body fat percentage. Here he is with a bit lower body fat percentage, perfect nips standing on the porch here. They hate me because their sisters want to date me. Flying cash money. Here he is in the pool again. Oh, covering up the nips here. Let's see you in real time. I guess you could say like maybe they look a little bit puffy perhaps, but he's just, you know, he's fat there. When you see him here, you would see like pretty blatant glandular development like you do up here if he had it, in my opinion. Like when you see him here, he's like fucking lean, and I don't see any problems with the nips really whatsoever. They look pretty clean to me. So anyways, between like 2019 and 2021, the guy obviously really hit the fucking sauce hard, because he went from looking like a regular dude who works out, like he looks, you know, just like a natural guy who enjoys the gym, you know, trains and blah, 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 to all of a sudden, within the span of a year and a half, like he fucking steps on the gas really fucking hard, I would say, and starts to develop very quickly gynecomastia development, and to the point where I don't know, like if he was just unaware of how it was developing because of his body fat percentage at the time, and then when he started cutting down, it became more apparent. But like by late 2020, like he's kind of fucked at this point. Like you can see where he's at, and then he ends up stepping on stage. Absolutely insane conditioning, by the way. Obviously commendable for how hard this guy dialed in his diet. And what is this? Gym Heroes. Okay, so we have him here, and yeah, like obviously nothing needs to be said for fucking Christ. What was that? That's it? That's the whole clip he got? Okay, anyway, so we're gonna have to pause it apparently. So the physique is exceptional. Absolutely nothing wrong here except that. Now, cost of getting rid of gyno in India. Apparently it's not that bad, fortunately for him. So the approximate price is like 1/3 of that of the Western world, supposedly, according to Google at least. I don't know how accurate that is, but the fortunate thing is he doesn't have a permanent issue. It's not like he has a fucking heart condition or something, or at least I'd hope not. Fortunately, he doesn't have any hair loss, which is, you know, going to fuck him too as well if he wants to be a fitness model, which I don't know what his aspirations are, but I would, you know, very much encourage him to start, like obviously he's very interested in bodybuilding and whatnot. I think he could excel and be exceptional as a, you know, like top tier, like fitness influencer dude with this kind of a physique. Like fortunately for him, he doesn't have any acne. that's cystic, that's going to cause like scarring and shit. He doesn't have any hair loss. He just has this gynecomastia development, which, like, it sounds bad, but honestly, it's one of the most easy to deal with things. Is you can get one surgery, cut them out, and then you're done. Whereas with things like hair loss, you're stuck, you know, applying fucking drugs to your head and taking weird random shit and totally altering the way you design your protocols accordingly just because you want to avoid fucking hair loss. Like, it's a lot more of a problem than gyno development. Like, if you have gyno versus a guy who has hair loss, consider yourself lucky, honestly. Like, I would much rather be prone to gyno and have immaculate hair than the fucking opposite. So hopefully that is the case for him. Again, he's only 20 years old though, dude. So, you know, it remains to be seen if he encounters any other issues, but fortunately for him, everything looks kind of flawless to me. Like, I don't think he's going to achieve high level size to be a, you know, like top bodybuilder or anything, but he can definitely transition this into a career if he wanted. He just needs to take care of the gyno. And like, realistically, if you're spending the amount of money he probably was for the cycles he ran for these 2021 shows, I can guarantee he can definitely afford to chill out for a sec, you know, take a good like off season to grow and get his gyno dealt with, because that is what is holding him back right now. And it ends up, you know, people fucking tagging his shit, not appreciating his physique for what it is, which is spectacular, rather just talking about his fucking gyno. So anyways, that is like, as far as pharmacology goes, the whole point and the moral of the story is, do not do this shit before you understand what you're doing. This guy did not have a problem going into cycling. He had immaculate looking nips, no lumps whatsoever, and within a year, totally like put himself in a position where this is not something you're going to fix with fucking raloxifene. This is something you're literally going to need to get surgery to fix at this point. So it can come on quick, and it can come on very aggressive if you're not very aware of what you're doing and how you're designing your protocol. So obviously this guy's, whoever designed his cycle, if it was him or, you know, somebody else, they really fucking dropped the ball and did not do their research, because this could have been avoided entirely if they understood the drugs. So anyways, I kind of feel bad, but again, when you're 20, like, how many people know what the fuck they're doing? That's the whole point of waiting until you understand this shit. I always talk about how the age, it's kind of an arbitrary number. Like, again, obviously you should ideally wait until your fucking brain and body are fully developed before you start introducing exogenous hormones that are going to shut down physiologic processes. But the main thing being is a lot of guys are jumping into hormone use before they even understand how to design an intelligent protocol or even how their hormonal system works to begin with. And they end up throwing some shit wildly off. And, you know, some people have great genetics and are fortunate enough to be totally side effect free, to the point they can dick around and do like half-ass protocols that end up with no side effects and still great progress. And there are other individuals where the representation of bad cycle design becomes very cosmetically apparent very, very fucking quickly, like this. So fortunately, this guy has exceptional genetics overall, so it's not like he was shortchanged in that department. Rather, he just has this one fucking thing. He's got to save up, you know, what is it, 5-10 grand or whatever it is at most. In India, it might be even less than that, I don't know. But this is very manageable and can be fixable within the next, you know, 2021. I'm sure you can get it done, get an off season going, heal up, and then be back to competing within short order and have this totally cleared up. And you could be like a fucking huge fitness guy in India for sure. Like, it definitely has the potential for that. So hopefully we see that happen, and you know, people start appreciating his physique for, you know, what it is, which again, spectacular physique. Unfortunate that he let whoever guide him, or, you know, started jumping into it a little bit too early before he understood it. And that is why you need to do your fucking research. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that one. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplatesmoredates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplatesmoredates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Gorilla Mind. Nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas that design myself from scratch, my recommended lab tests and diagnostics. Anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.